is Saturday night. It is now 8:15, and it's time for some Doctor Who. And with me tonight, of course, is Chris. Say hello, Chris.
Hello, Chris.
And yeah, tonight we are doing Terror of the Autons. Now, it was going to be Mind of Evil, but somebody, and I'm not pointing any fingers, um, somebody uh, got the order of the shows wrong. So yeah, we're doing Terror of the Autons this evening, and yeah, that was a quick message last night, wasn't it? It was like, no, 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 there's the wrong episode. So yeah, Chris, Terror of the Autons. What do you know?
I know that it was a kind of what they call it these days, a soft reboot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we meet Joe Grant.
Mm-hmm.
We meet the Autons again for the first time since Spearhead from Space, and we meet quite possibly one of the finest actors ever to set foot on a Doctor Who set, Roger Delgado as the Master.
Yeah, yeah. We get the Master coming into it. We've got, as you said, Katie Manning comes into it as well, and it's done in a way. Um, it's done in a way that I think is it's not really organic in the transition from Liz Shaw to Joe Grant, but it's done in a way where you go, yeah, okay, let's just move on now. We've passed Liz Shaw now. We're on to someone new. So it's sad that Liz didn't really have her sort of out, as it were. She kind of just that was the end of Inferno was the end of her run. Um, so there's no real sort of transition of companions. Um, there's Katie Manning comes in with a lot of energy. She does come in like a whirlwind. She comes in with an absolute bundle of energy, and yeah, it's an interesting episode though. I think because it's one of those episodes whereby I think the concept of the story is a little bit better than the execution, and I think I think this could use a modern edit. That's what I would say. That this could have somebody go over it because there's some parts in this which are a little bit messy, whereby it's kind of like that's a bit jarring. You just jump from this scene to that scene to that scene, and he's wearing different clothes in each one, and you're like, whoa, you kind of this needs to be a little bit more massaged, a little bit more smoothed out. It's still a great story. It's still I think is a great introduction to the Master. Um, if I had a big complaint, it's that the music in this is horrendous.
Well, we're 1971 now. I mean, unless you're talking about Pink Floyd or Black Sabbath, most 70s, or the great prog rock acts, most music in the 70s was a little bit horrendous.
It's not that. I think what it is that at the time when they were making this episode, I think it's entirely possible that when they came to scoring this story, they probably didn't have a whole hell of a lot of time, and synth was a new thing because they could have one person synth scoring an episode, and I think generally it wasn't as it wasn't as beloved Doctor Who really. I mean, this was at a time whereby Doctor Who was kind of picking itself back up, so it's I mean the music in this. Oh, who done the music in this? Because it was Dudley Simpson, but it was this one was Keith Papworth as well. So incidental is done by Dudley Simpson. I think Dudley's just like I don't say he's phoning it in, but you get the same four notes over and over. Just
I've just got a message come up on YouTube from Lucosa. First of all, he says, evening. He's looking forward to this, one of his favourite stories. And he says, point of order, either Carwin is very quiet or Chris is deafeningly loud.
oh yeah.
Which one? Which one is it?
Well, my audio is. Let me just check the audio here. My audio's roughly available at the same level. I'm not seeing any. Is it? Oh, wait a sec. I think no. Chris is definitely loud. There we go. Try that out. Chris, you might
Right.
want. You should be a little bit better now. We should be a little bit more evened out. You were at
Okay.
maximum fall now.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, are you? Oh, the great editor speaketh. Yeah. All right, mate. Well, let us know, Lucosa, if
That
that's any better.
that should be a lot
Yeah.
better. You were way up there. You were at 100%. In
Oh, power.
right into the red. So yeah, Terror of the Autons. I think I use my point with Terror of the Autons. I don't think they've cracked the Autons yet. I mean, like even today, I don't think they've cracked the Autons. Even with what we had in Rose, and here's why. I think that we're at a time now where we are 30 years past Terminator 2. And that's a bit shocking, I know. But 30 years ago that was. But we're at a time now whereby we've got the technology, we've got the understanding, we've got more of a basis on how something that's more of a polymer can function in more of a liquid way. So to me, with the Autons, to give you a good example, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but there's Batman of the Future. There's a character in Batman of the Future called Ink, and that's how I would do the Autons. You know, she's this slick, slimy, sludge type character. So yeah, I'm not saying that I would like an Auton like a T1000, but I think it'd be kind of cool to do a Doctor Who story that way with an Auton. Because there's no reason, as far as I can see, there's no reason why an Auton can't, be more malleable. It's living plastic, so.
Yeah. That's a fair comment.
So that's what I would like to see. And look, it's not that I'm trying to run the story down or anything. It's just the fact that I think that when it comes to the Master's plan, I think they could have put a little bit more into it. And like this is a 4-episode story. I would have maybe gone for a 5, just so that we don't cut the end of the story off, really, because that's really how this story plays out. If you haven't seen this for a long time, or if you haven't seen it at all, you're going to be kind of like, this is going to be a good ride. You're going to see some fun stuff. You're going to see some really camp stuff. And then what's going to happen is you're going to get to the end of the story and it's going to just end. It's just going to stop. It's just going to be like, right, and that's it. That's the story over. Everybody's, we all won, folks. And it does have a nice out for Roger Delgado, though. I think that's the cleverest part of this story, is his exit from this episode. So
it has been a long while since I've seen it, but I have seen this one.
Again, I think it's got something. I think it's got some toned back action beats. But my biggest gripe with the episode is probably the music. The music is horrendous. It could well do. If I had to replace anything in this story, that's what I would do. If the visual effects, there's an abundant use of CSO in this as well. Color separation overlay is just use a curtain. Like nobody cares. There's no need to replace the outside. There's no need to do it. So yeah, it's people having fun with the technology that they had at the time, though. So they're experimenting.
Imagine that broadcasting something having a fake background behind you. I mean, I've never heard of something so ridiculous.
Let me tell you something now, pal. That background behind you is light years ahead of what you're about to see, and I mean light years ahead. Anyway, I'm ready to make a start. Terror of the Autons Part 1.
Yep, I'm paused right at the beginning of the episode.
So I'm just about to press play. I'm pressing play in 3, 2, 1. Bingo! God, that's loud. It's funky though.
Yeah, my episode's rather loud as well. I'm almost got it down to minimum so I can hear, and I can still hear it.
Yeah, no, it's banging loud.
See now this intro here, this even though the background's different,
Yeah.
and seeing by Robert Holmes is like at last for me because that's my favourite era now. This is pretty much our Doctor Who carries on with the opening now. It's different graphics, obviously, but right the way up to we get the Peter Hale theme in 1981, was it?
Yeah. 10 years, but yeah. When we. Yeah, 81, yeah. So, yeah, it was like, what, 15 years, I think, with the same theme? And then the changes?
Yeah, something like that.
Straight away, no wasting any time, here comes the antagonist. And you can bet your ass people seeing this for the first time are like, what?
Yeah, what?
Sharply dressed.
The man.
One scene that in the story that always makes me laugh when the Master is or has been in disguise by wearing a mask of his own face. Like just
Not as
that instant, like.
it's not until you see Roger Delgado again after I haven't seen him for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Our imposing figure he cuts.
It's the fact that he has this. He has this look on his face of just. He's unimpressed. And he can pull out that look off of just being just everything being totally beneath him. Again, Pertwee with his props. If I was going to open up a company, it'd be called Pertwee's Props.
Yeah.
It was meant to be.
Lucosa's saying Delgado is simply the ultimate example of an inspired casting. Is it true that the role was created specifically with him in mind?
Oh no, I don't know about that. I know that he was friends with Pertwee before the show. Um, it's entirely possible. Let's have a quick look here. So this is the first appearance of the Master, Joe Grant, and Mike Yates. I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if they created it for him. I mean, they would probably. Let's put it this way: they probably were bringing in a character that was a renegade Time Lord, And then when they talked to Delgado about it, they probably crafted the character around him. That's probably reasonable. I mean, like people who were working on this, what was it? Terrence Dix, Barry Letts. I mean, these were people that were really invested in the show. So here we go with the bloody music.
Well, that bit's not too bad.
Get used to those 4 notes. You're gonna hear it a lot. They do change octave. I'll give them that.
Oh, I don't mind the odd bit of status quo. I mean,
I'm just having a quick look on Doctor Who's site to see if there's anything on there. No, the only thing that it really says is that Roger Delgado's final appearance of the Master was going to be in a story where it was revealed that the Master and the Doctor were brothers. And unfortunately,
I see you mean about the CSO going on there.
yeah. Oh no, it keeps happening. Don't you worry about it. They found a new toy and they're gonna play. I mean, I'm doing the same thing, but but I'm constantly cocking it up. See, there's no. Why just use a curtain, man? There's no need for that. You got a white sky. It's not like we live in a country where there's blue everywhere. I just want to say as well, by the way, that computer bank behind him is a recurring prop, but it's a lovely piece of kit. And unfortunately, instead of focusing on that, they actually built this one that is down in front there with the Master.
Yeah.
And that thing there is a wobbly, rickety piece of plywood with caravan vents on.
Well, I wasn't expecting you to use the word plywood there, so well done.
By the way, this is location stuff. Those satellites there, they really are exactly where they're supposed to be, and they do exactly what the show is telling them to do. This is studio, obviously, but they do actually go out on location to that area. But there's a lot of good background. See that gearing behind him there as he walks out the door?
Yeah.
There's a lot of good background set dressing in this. It's really... It does a good job.
High grade greebling is what we call it.
It's just good set dressing. Just really good set dressing. And it looks like it really does the job. He's got a really good power look, hasn't he?
Yeah, yes.
By the way, as well, when they get into the breakdown of of Joe Grant. It kind of shows how well developed she is as a character. Yeah, this episode, serious CSO overload. Yes, it does. Grow a pair, man.
Wouldn't he have 2 pairs?
Buckle, fold, beaten. You can see as well this season that Pertwee starting to get his swagger. He's got his purpley red jacket and.
Can't believe you just said season with regards to Doctor Who, Carwin. It's series, man. It's series. Oh, we also get a full-time Sergeant Benton now as well, don't we?
Yeah. But again, yeah, this is the story that introduced Mike Yates as well. So we're starting to get the Doctor Who family together.
We have. And it'll end up with someone posing naked on a Dalek. I mean, it's a win-win situation.
Yeah, there's nothing. Yeah, I have no problems with that.
We won't share that picture, though. Not on YouTube.
We might. Now, listen to this. What is that? Was this character inspired by Mr. Ben? Oh, so here's something that I did not know.
Oh, do tell.
In 1968, in the episode "The Mind Robber," the second Doctor learns that in the Land of Fiction that one of the characters, the in charge, is called the Master, and they'd already put the idea of this Master being a renegade Time Lord in place then. So, because they'd already writing scripts for the next season, seasons after. So this idea was being bandied around. So when Patrick Troughton was told that the guy in charge was called the Master, he played it as the guy being this Master. He played it as a mistaken identity, kind of. God, that's awful.
Yeah, okay, the pop's a bit silly.
It's ridiculous.
It's 1971.
There's no excuses. there's, there's no excuses for crap. No, see, I would have just cut the cord. I mean, that's taking an awful chance.
Yeah, but it gives John Pertwee a chance to dive about, doesn't it?
Yeah, I know, but it's the Doctor. He's supposed to be intelligent, and if I could figure that out, I'm pretty sure he could have.
More from Pertwee's props.
Yeah. Again, he loves pulling shit apart. Just because there's a prop there, you don't have to pick it up, Pertwee.
Yes, he does. Yes, he
Look
does.
at it! You could walk into this room and just handle everything here.
See, when he opened up and went, oh no, I forgot the guy was in there. I thought for a minute he was going to say cheese and pickle.
That's not a bad mind you, that's not a bad use of the CSO mind to do that. Because at least it wasn't a little doll.
Yeah.
Again, so with Delgado, he carries himself with decorum,
Yeah, he does.
and it's a separation between him and even just regular people. You know, there's this. He pulls you in just with how he carries himself. That's why I think why he's my favourite master.
He's my favourite master because he's the best, basically. But saying that, I've got a lot of time for Anthony Ainley as well. I know he was a bit more pantomime,
Mm-hmm.
but I, I think he was given an impossible task, and I think he did as well as he could with it.
Well, I mean, he went pantomime, didn't he? He didn't start that way. You know, if you look keeping a track in and the subsequent stories, it was only really sort of after, I'd say after Time Flight that he started going camp, and then by the time you get to Sixth Doctor with Mark and the Rani, we're well into He's Behind You.
Yeah.
By the way, should we point out it's the first time we've seen the box since Spearhead from Space?
Is it really?
Yeah, I don't think we see it before that.
I'm assuming YouTube's not complaining that your stream this week seems to be running all right, mate.
As far as I can tell, no, it's all looking good.
How's it looking from the outside world, Lucosa? Is the stream running all right?
Might get a bit of glitching here or there, but again, we looked at it back the other week, and where it was glitching, it would seem to be a lot smoother when we watched it back. So if I had to say what I think I like about Delgado as the master is that first of all, it's not just that he's got a set of intelligence about him. It's the fact that there's a touch of cruelty with him, that he doesn't mind the killing. You know, he just doesn't. He'll kill somebody outright, and he won't even flinch. He won't even think about it. Just stern. Look at that.
Yeah, I know.
That was a good use of a push-in zoom. Like that cut right close into her face.
Yeah.
So it was good. That was a nice move. Stream is going well. Slightly start on my cam, but no audio issues. Cool. Glad about that. Again, we had it with buffering last week. We stopped it last week, but when we went back and watched it, it was smooth. So
Oh, I say.
yeah.
Escalated.
Well,
He was only a short step away from saying Pater, wasn't he? There.
yeah. I mean, son of the owner taking over. You know. Again, it's good dialogue though. It's good. It's good back and forth. Considering these are background characters that we've never ever met before. Like, was there a need to do that? They got all these sets everywhere, and they couldn't have done something else.
Yeah, that is a bit poor.
If you look closely at the padlock, you will see it's already open. A bomb? And that's the end of that. So a good paced episode one.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's the the music is just not on. It's just not up to scratch.
Don't know. See, to me, that just sounds like quintessential Doctor Who synth music. I know we've had better, but we've
That's
had
the
worse
thing.
as well.
That's the thing. I mean, like, I don't think Dudley Simpson's really trying with this, with the incidental. Like I said, it's the same four notes twaddled over and over and over, and it's basically sitting there with a synthesizer, turn funny space effect sounds on, and then just twaddle away. Um, and we've had a lot better than that.
Yeah.
I mean, it does improve, I guess, in later episodes. I mean, you know, what are the episodes there for Pertwee's era we're talking about there? Colony in Space, Demons. Demons has a better musical score. Much better. So there's that episode of the way. And straight in to episode 2.
Yeah, I'm looking at John Pertwee's face on the logo right now.
That's right, God. John Pertwee, Doctor Who. No. And it says Terror of the Autons. Better than Terry of the Autons, played by Terry Scott. That would have been a different story.
Oh, don't start me and Lucosa off on Terry Scott. We've had a discussion about him on a live stream before. That's a completely different live stream.
Ooh, Bayek. Now then, I could have sworn Unit was nowhere near the coast. I'm just putting it out there that we do see another episode where the entire Unit building gets transported to another dimension and it happens to be in the middle of a field. Maybe it's a different building, I don't know.
Maybe this is Unit Base 1 that's by a big lake.
I mean, the Doctor's got a different office, so and he's got
He's
something.
on about. He's on his third different coat now, isn't he?
Yeah. And of course, his office got an upstairs, which Pertwee uses. He
There you
wasn't.
go. That's what Luco's is saying. Terry Scott, hugely underrated in the Carry On films, or underappreciated. I agree. Terry Scott was brilliant.
Man, people don't realize how funny he was as Penfold.
Yeah, he was funny as Penfold. Oh, cripes! Oh.
Yeah. And some of the jokes they used to land, I mean, some of them weren't for kids. Just go
No,
straight
of
over
course not.
people's heads. Oh God, I forgot about this. This is the blow-up chair. This was a new technology at the time. New.
Yeah. At least it looks like it's a practical effect.
Yeah, no, look, it's exactly what he said it is. It's a plastic blow-up chair. I mean, self-inflating. I'll give him that.
Doesn't look like a black pudding, does it? Really?
No, not really. Yeah, that guy's got a haunted look on his face all the time as well, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Have I just been sent this?
Oh, Ian's saying he's having not getting notifications for this channel anymore. You haven't unticked the bell, have you, by accident, Ian?
It could be coming in because we're not doing it through StreamYard anymore.
Well, it should just be when you're. I'm still getting the notifications that you're going live in whenever.
Huh. I don't know. So many technical issues, but we have changed from doing StreamYard to just going straight through YouTube now. So that might be an issue. I don't know. You didn't see any for the notifications for last week's until it was over. I'm not surprised. We didn't start for like 30 odd minutes. We were very late last week.
Yes, 8:47, I believe.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, it was nearly an hour. It was a debacle last week. I seem to be very quiet. Try that.
You're loud, quite loud for me, but I'm hearing you through Skype, not through StreamYard, through
OBS.
So
I've just turned up the mic up a little bit now on OBS side. I was attacked by reverse photography.
Death by a giant fruit pastel.
Okay. Now I'm trying to find the full cast list here.
Full cast list, you say? Well, I've actually got that in the background somewhere. Who is it you want to find out?
I've got a feeling it's Harry Tobe.
I can't see a Harry Tobe. Oh yeah, McDermott, Harry Tobe.
By the way, I am pointing this out actually. So the guy playing Rex there.
Davros, you mean?
Yeah, well, it's Michael Wisher. I
Yeah.
mean, he was also in. Oh God, I think in Ambassadors of Death as well, wasn't he?
It's possible.
Yeah, he was the reporter.
Ian's just finished a Nestine picture, which he sent you for later as well.
Oh, cool. I love that. I want that doll. I want that thing.
It's a hideous thing, isn't it?
It's bloody awesome. So yeah. Michael Wisher's first appearance was in Seeds of Death. He was uncredited, and he worked right way through Ambassadors of Death, Terror of the Autons, Carnival of Monsters, Planet of the Daleks, Death of the Daleks, Genesis of the Daleks, Revenge of the Cybermen, Planet of Evil, and that was his last one. Then was Planet of Evil. 36 episodes.
It's not bad, is it?
Oh, I like that nesting picture. I like it. The banter gets better and better.
Yeah. He doesn't need an escort. He's got Bessie.
Yeah.
Been better off in a Cortina anyway.
He's got Bessie and a dodgy musical score.
She's so young in
I
this,
know.
isn't she, Katie Manning?
Yeah. Very cute. Yeah, I would love to have one of the little dolls right there. Right there on the shelf.
Oh, I'm sure if you get enough milliput, bit of Fomex, you can knock one up.
I could give it a go. This is probably again another good use of CSO. This is what you could use it for because you couldn't get something that small. Do you know what I mean? Without being a glove puppet.
Yeah.
Um.
Nice.
Uh.
Well, we don't see performing animals at the circus anymore, do you?
No.
Which is probably for the best, to be honest. Yeah, it's a good picture, that, mate.
Yeah, Zach, I'm gonna. Is this? Put this there. Um. What am I doing? What am I doing? Hmm. It's cute. You leave it alone. Oh God.
I have to wonder if Deep Roy was inside it.
I think he'd been what 6 at this point, maybe a bit younger.
I mean, was he only a child when he was in the Talons of Wing Chang?
Yeah, I think he was about 12. I think.
All right.
I don't think he couldn't have been much older.
There you go. Deep Roy was born in 1949.
Was he?
Apparently so.
Bloody hell.
Same age as my mum. Sorry, mum. I got the stream run, and
I did just realise the
that
was still up.
picture looks quite good. I was saying the picture looks really excellent.
Yeah, I'm just gonna. I've put stuff up. I just accidentally hit the wrong button on the deck.
I just thought you forgot to take it back down again, so I was just carrying on. Now we got a sort of like a peep out of it.
There we go. I was just pressing all the wrong buttons everywhere. So
the trouble with a lot of that colour separation overlay is they not fix the camera properly, so it moves with the
why would you move the camera on a fixed image? So yeah, the foreground's doing this and the background's just staying there. It's not so bad if a person's moving in front of it, but when the whole scene is moving, it's like being on a bloody pirate ship. So hopefully. What the hell?
What were you trying to do?
Well, according to the setup, I should be able to access images now, but it's not doing it. It keeps going all Looney Tunes, so I'm just gonna leave it alone. See, that's a good use of it. That is an excellent use. Her being separated from to be in a kitchen is a bit much.
Yeah.
You don't want to see what that doll did to that man's face.
No. I've got a feeling this episode was sponsored by British Leyland. or Austin. It was Austin Maxi, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, I tried looking that car up as well because a neighbour of mine used to have one.
Here's an interesting question from Luke Ozer. Chris, I am watching the original 1971 televised version. What about you, man?
I am watching the Amazon Prime version.
Okay. So is that? I'm assuming the effects haven't been updated then.
No, it's all original.
I didn't know there was a 2021 updated version.
No, I'm watching it with the original. Again, I got no problem with updating the effects. I just wish they would do it to the music as well. So, it's worth noting, those breakable props, what she actually broke over his head there was actually wax. It's literally just made out of the same sort of candle wax. And they used that because making breakable glass was a lot more expensive. So anytime they had to break something, it was usually it's either going to be a sugar glass, which doesn't look really like glass, or it's normally wax. Because the BBC weren't really up on their resins.
Yeah, well, it worked fine in that shot.
Yeah, no, it looks great, but you will notice that every single time they do something breakable now, it'll always look like it's made of wax. There's a whole good flurry of props in this. Would you mind checking my audio settings again? I'm nearly at 100%. And it's around 20. Normally it's around 20. I mean, I can turn them up, but sort of, yeah. We'll try that. The thing is, on OBS, you want to try to keep it so that it doesn't flick into the red.
I mean, I'm pretty sure my one's loud enough. You've already had to turn me down a bit.
Yeah, I mean, mine's... I mean, it looks like we're coming in above the same level. At least it's showing me that it's the same level on the screen. Have it, Riot! That's better. Good. I'm glad. Again, it's all fiddling with stuff until we get things sorted. By the way, I've moved my mic, so my mic's up here as well, so it's a lot further away from me. That's probably going to be not of a help.
Yeah, and I've got a completely different mic to the last time you tuned in here. I've actually got a mic, not just on my headphones now.
Well, because I've changed my entire setup, it's really awkward for me to have the mic. I was going to put the mic down here somewhere, but it's a little bit in the way. So I've just left the mic up there. So you can kind of see the shadow on the wall here where it's...
Oh, you can just see the top of my pop filter.
Yeah. Like, see this? They're using CSO for this. And the rear projection would probably have worked better.
There you go.
Yes, that's the end of that. Again, for the guy turning around there, he should have just been wearing the mask. I don't think he should have had a real face. I think that would have worked a little bit better as well. There's no need to like, I know what they're going for.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like the Saint, which is probably something that's polluting the decision making at the time, whereby they're doing. And again, you've had stuff like Mission Impossible on TV at the time as well. So there's going to be cross pollination going on with ideas.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, you'll find that across most science fiction, there's always something influences it somewhere along the lines.
Yeah. So 2 episodes in, still banging out exposition, still trying to work out what's going on. Still, the Master's plan, taking over the plastics factory. We at a point now whereby in a 4-series episode arc that they should be, I guess, getting on top of it, but it's actually still behind, and I think that's good with this story. That the Doctor is actually still chasing it up. It's
yeah.
Again, it to me the end cuts off a little bit quick, but it's nice to be able to say, I wish there was more of that instead of this outstayed its welcome.
Yeah, definitely. Leave you wanting more rather than looking at your watch thinking, hurry up.
Yeah. See, that shot there should just have been him in a mask. It wouldn't have made any difference. What do you think of the design of the Autons? In that sort of blank face.
I I I quite like it, to be honest with you, because it's got a familiar human shape to it, but it's wrong.
Yeah.
It's something that's off kilter because of the way we recognise faces and
Hmm.
people. It looks human, but it's off kilter, and it kind of throws you. And I think that makes them look more. I don't know. Makes them look more sort of creepy and something to be afraid of than it would. Like the ones in the more modern Doctor Who, like in the ones that are in
Yeah.
Rose, they had very chiseled features, so they just looked like people in makeup. I know they were masked, but they just look like people in makeup. Whereas this, because they've got no real hard features, they're as creepy as all hell, aren't they?
I love them.
I think they're
I
great.
wish. To me, that's the default setting for an Auton. That's what it should look like. It should look like this really smoothed out figure. Um, the mannequin version that we see, I think is subservient to this.
Yeah,
'Cause, I mean, you see that walking forward there now.
yeah.
I mean, look at that. Excellent use of a stuntman. That is a good bump. I'll give you that. That's a good bump. I've taken one of
Is
those.
it the same stunt team
It
Havoc
is, yeah,
in this?
yeah.
Have they? Yeah.
They were kind of given less liberties though, because people had previously complained.
What could you possibly complain
I,
about? Just the
I,
amount of money they spent, I suppose.
I mean, yeah, that would have been one of them. You don't start off a shot going, we need a road sign, and end up with spending about in a helicopter.
No, I think that worked really
Yeah.
well.
I find it weird that the Masters changed his costume. I know probably a lot of people wouldn't have noticed this, but Roger Delgado's wearing a completely different suit. He was wearing the high up, high neck, flat collar, and now he's wearing a white shirt with tie. I'm sure. Sorry, wasn't there an Auton in a deleted scene from the Five Doctors? Possible. I'm sure that I'd heard Rose was going to be mobile phones that melted and smothered people. Possible. Um, the only time I've seen that done. Oh God, I'm gonna bring up something that I wish didn't exist. Um, I watched a. I'm a sucker for bad movies, right? For really bad movies. I'm talking Asylum,
Oh, you get on with Lucosa
right?
if you're. Christ.
There is a movie, and by one of my favourite triers, Shane Van Dyke, and it's called Transmorphers.
Oh, even I've seen that. That is awful. It's a mockbuster, isn't
Yeah,
it?
and that has people being attacked by mobile phones. They literally like turn into like face huggers. I'm glad they didn't go with it.
Yeah, he goes. He said he's forever hunting down and watching crap films.
You can't fault Shane Van Dyke for a crap film. You can't.
So I did a 5 hour video with Lucosa and another YouTuber, where we done our top 10 like best films, like our
Yeah.
favourite films, and that was 5 hours of quality. And then we're talking about Transmorphers.
Transmorphers, yeah. But I mean, I've also seen, Crocosaurus. I mean, if you haven't seen anything until you've seen Crocosaurus.
Have you seen the Velocipasta then as well?
I've seen. Oh God, yeah, that's the vicar that turns into a raptor. It's like one of those
Yeah.
raptor suits. Oh dear. It doesn't work. It's the wrong one. That's a good line. I like that. What's wrong with being childish? I like being childish.
What's the point of being grown up if you can't be childish? Oh, that was the next Doctor.
Yeah. No, if you want a really crap movie, watch Titanic 2. The sequel to Titanic. Oh. It's not just a bad film. It's not just a bad idea. There's some seriously bad acting.
Yeah, I have heard about that. Bloody Titanic 2.
Oh, it's amazing stuff. So I'm of two minds with these Autons in this outfit. I do kind of understand what they're going for with it, but I do prefer the Autons at the end. They should be unmasked.
Well, yeah, I mean these Autons that are on the bus here. These are they're only sort of like that far away from being Frank Sidebottom.
Yeah. Yeah, they're just lacking the paper mache. I feel like my movies watch Red Letter Media's Best of the Worst YouTube. Oh god, I couldn't make it to the end of Titanic 2. I lasted about an hour into it. The best part is when he sacrifices himself. It's brilliant. It's one of the worst scenes I've ever seen. He's literally like, I am going to sacrifice myself to save you. So, Jesus Christ. Mr. Brown-Nose. Raw, the film with dozens of live lions. Have you sat through the Sharknado movies?
Well, I haven't. I'm pretty sure Lucosa has.
The last time I saw the last one I haven't seen Sharknado 6. The last one I seen was Sharknado 5, Global Swarming. Brilliant title, epic title.
Oh dear.
Man, they keep making. People keep buying them. Do you know? Here's an interesting fact about Asylum. Get off talking for a second. Asylum is the only film company since 2009, I think, that hasn't made a loss. Ever.
Yeah, but most of the time, people are watching their films by open-mouthed disbelief.
Well, I mean, like they don't spend that much on making a movie, and then people. But most of the time, well,
Do they not? Cool, it doesn't show.
but the thing is, though, they deliver on what they say. Like when they done Mega Shark versus Giant Octopus, it was Mega Shark versus Giant Octopus. That's exactly what it was. He'd done exactly what he said on the tin, and it was crap. It was hilarious, but I can't say I didn't enjoy it. Anyway, back to Doctor Who. Speaking of people that don't have the budget and poor effects.
Is that CSO out the window again?
No, that's not. That's actually just a background translate.
Well, I was going to say because that I couldn't see the joy in there.
No, the name of your husband, love. Just checking your intelligence. Look at look over here. Mike Yates does look young in this as well, doesn't he?
John Pertwee didn't age, did he? From sort of like 1965 up until his death, he looked the same all the way through. Maybe his hair was a bit whiter at the end, but
Sex dolls. There's a whole Autons story you're never gonna see. Attacked by a lot of Ann Summers accessories.
well, she said novelty for grown ups. She's trying to steer it round to what you're talking about.
Giving me the finger. Is this gonna hurt? It's crazy that they're actually not showing you the autopsy on a dummy.
No. Back to Ann Summers again. Yeah, it's weird that they're not showing
It
that
is, isn't it?
at all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're not seeing any of it. Okay, it can't be too graphic. He couldn't open a dummy.
Well, I can only assume that because they're going on about it being solid plastic and it's clearly made from some sort of foam latex, that it's not going to stand up in front of the camera. But then when you look at some of the CSO effects we've seen today,
Yeah.
that looks like a long river outside that window.
See, this is part of the directing that I like. There's two conversations going on here with Joe and thing, and both of them are being played over the top of each other. Instead of stopping and starting, waiting for the person to finish their end, they actually so you can actually hear the two conversations happening. I like that a lot. That's good direction.
Yeah, it makes it a lot more realistic as well. No Brig putting his foot down.
Got to let him know who's in charge. Doctor's like fifth outfit. No. I really would. I would love one of those dolls. It's kind of like a troll, but it's... Now, why did you already have your gun out? Like, what was he possibly doing? That's no way to clean the dishes. Bang! And the dirt is gone.
Silly Yates.
Oh, I remember what's coming up there. This is a good little moment. I think in terms of horror, like they should have set this more of a nighttime investigating the office. I think that would have worked a little bit better. But what's coming up there, I think it works brilliantly. It
It was well done.
was. It was very well done. Because you'll notice that in the moment before he opens the safe, they focus more on the brig closing the door and going through the files, so they slow everything down for that jump.
Yeah.
The worst thing about it is that after he kicks the door closed, they immediately jump cut to this scene, and it's like, just a bit sharp. You shouldn't have done that. Should have at least showed him walking into the office, in through the front door.
Yeah, that was a very hard cut.
Yeah, 3 episodes in, he's taken with that. She's stuck with him now.
Yeah. All the way through to Sarah Jane
Yeah.
there, isn't it?
And once again, attacked by reverse photography. But it works well. It works. It's very effective.
It does. The only thing I find a little bit cringeworthy is John Pertwee's panic, I'm in danger face. Really is quite over the top, considering how good he is with props.
Yeah.
And generally, fitting into a scene and making it work. Whenever he's attacked like that and he pulls that weird face, it kind of throws me out a bit. But yeah, it's not a deal breaker or anything like that. I find it funnier than it's supposed to be. That's all.
I mean, he was going for trying to sell as much danger as possible because he was heading into a cliffhanger. So it's one of those things. But so far, it's been barreling along. It's just absolutely been gunning it.
It is. We're just starting number 4
Yeah.
now. I've just got him appearing on my screen now.
Oh, you're just a little bit ahead of me because I'm doing it through actually I'm doing it through Prime app actually, so it's actually on my PC playing through my PC, but it's complicated.
Well, tell me when you have by Robert Holmes come up.
Terror of the Autons by Robert Holmes. Yeah.
We should be fairly lined up again now then.
Episode 4.
Yep.
A New Hope.
No. No. Just Star Wars. That's it.
See, they've got a lot of funky little props. It's very prop filled, this one. That's the only good musical cut I've heard. Was when they cut the music when he pulled the cord out. Aside from that, he was just mashing the keypad.
Yeah. You're not a fan of the music,
I don't
are
like
you?
it at all.
Yeah, I don't think it's that bad. Especially when you compare it to the weird sort of folk rock light we had in Ambassadors.
So I did an experiment with my keyboard, and what I did was I took the musical score from this and I tried playing it out on a piano, and it's just horrendous. It doesn't work at all as any form of. It's just da 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 da, and it's just that with a weird sound. And that's all it is. You know, if I had to say anything, I would say that Dudley Simpson probably chalked out in about half hour. I'm not expecting him to, to go Beethoven on my ass, but I would like, effort. You can edit in for there. You know the movie Airplane? You're the monks from the Church of Religious Consciousness? Sector 001. Why do you need a grid reference? You know it's going to be London.
I mean, London's not exactly a small place, is it?
So here's something I really do love about this episode with Terror of the Autons. John Pertwee's Doctor has done nothing more than just investigate via experimentation.
Yeah.
And he's still doing it. He's still just fiddling with stuff, researching stuff, looking into stuff. It's almost like this episode is more of a forensic examination. This is CSI Who.
Well, I was about to say that, but I was gonna say CSI North Finchley or something.
Yep. Sets everything up, puts your ticking clock in place.
Yep.
They still don't understand fully the peril.
The peril of the CSO behind it.
Like I can't explain that. Like surely if you put a translate curtain behind there, it's just gonna look better.
Or you know, this might be a bit obvious, but park the bus in a field. I mean, there has got to be near where they filmed it. There has to be an open space with some trees behind it. There's a park in
So
every town. If they're in
yeah,
London, there's a park in every borough.
if I know what they did there for the bus scene, I've got a feeling that bus was a leftover from Z cars, and it's actually a quarter bus, which means that
Yeah,
you've got the full bus for exterior, but the interior is actually just half bus. It's just been cut in half. Normally you get quarter bus, which is front end, back end, left and right. I mean, there are things you could say about this.
yes, there are. Yeah, I mean, you know, there's the Ann Summers again.
I mean, if you were listening to this and not seeing it, you can play this dialogue over almost anything. I'm guessing might have been either up against it or they might be doing a nighttime shoot, which is why there's a lot of CSO going on. But
Yeah, but I mean, it could be. I mean, there's plenty of reasons, but I'm not sure if any of them are actually good enough for some of the way that, some of the way they haven't locked the camera off.
yeah, I mean, it's just. I think it's just rushed, to be honest with you. They were in a hurry to get the episode out. I mean, they didn't even have primitive camera tracking at this point, so it's a case of it's either locked off or it's going to look bad. I like the fact his weapon is sort of almost like a cigar.
Yeah.
It's not cumbersome. Now he's gonna kill you. Yeah.
Yeah.
You stuffed that one up, Joe. He already knew what was happening. So this is a small little direction thing as well. Every single time, no matter what actor it was, I think they must have got together and had a meeting or a discussion about it at least. But any time an actor was talking about the master, they always did this.
Yeah.
Every single one, and I think that's a good little cue. That's either come from the directors or the actors got together and did it themselves, But every actor in this, whenever the master was mentioned, they always did this when they'd been hypnotized. I mean, I think that's probably the best thing about having a week's rehearsal before you go in to shoot something, is the fact that you
Yeah.
can actually coordinate, which is something that doesn't happen today. Which is, I think, it's a bit ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. I mean, there was well, we know from Tom Baker there was some good ad-libbing going on in Doctor Who at some points.
But it gives having like a week's rehearsal gives actors a chance to block things out,
Yeah.
and like I said, they get to coordinate stuff. So this I find a little bit ridiculous. It's a good idea. It's just they always catch the Morse code at the start of the sentence, never halfway through.
Yeah, they do, don't they?
It's always at the start of the first word, you know.
Unless he's repeating it, of course.
If he's repeating this, he's got plenty of time on his hands. Say that back to me, Benton. I mean, he spelled that out by tapping a brake pedal.
He's that good, though, and he's that
It
good.
was the best of times, it was the worst of times. Bloody hell, like. I've also...
I'm surprised they didn't show us John Pertwee actually using the
Yeah.
pedal with his foot as another prop.
See, it shows how skilled Joe Grant is now. They haven't just they spelled it out a little bit earlier, whereby she was good at all these different things, but now it's like, oh, she's escapology as well. Just well, on the keyboard.
I was just about to say I don't think the music's as bad in this one, but I didn't think it was that bad in the other one.
You're twiddling with it.
Come on, let's.
Dum
That's
dum
his ball.
dum dum diddle dum 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 diddle dum 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 dum.
Taught Murray Gold everything he knows.
Yeah, they couldn't afford a stunt woman. That one stunt with that guy doubling for Pertwee was all they could afford. See, this is a little bit ridiculous. They should have lost their heads there.
Yeah, I suppose it's to make him look more freakish.
Yeah, but I think he looks more freakish without them.
Yeah, it does. I agree.
Lucky sod, I'd have hit every bar on the way down.
Only with your head, though, knowing you.
It'd be boom, 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 boom. So yeah, great choice of location. And then they do this. Yeah, it's just this is my little sort of gripe with the master. he's super smart and he couldn't figure that out. It's just like, and I know why they done it. It's just because they're wrapping it up.
Yeah. It's a plot device.
Yeah. Pull the plug out.
I look more like the master was playing the music there.
I have no idea what this effect is. I have no idea what it is. What it is, what it's supposed to be, what it's supposed to do. No idea. Not a clue.
No. It's a dance ray.
Yeah. And of course, if Avengers has told us anything, it's that once the big boss is gone, they all fall down. The trope that started it all. I love this moment though. I think this moment is probably one of those little smart moments um, where the Master's intelligence does pay off.
No, it's not.
And that was done reasonably well as well.
Yeah.
He's ever so slowly getting away.
Full bus ahead.
And that's a bit of an odd response off the Doctor, but there we are. It's like, should be a little bit more worried about the Master.
Yeah, that wasn't that. There was an abrupt ending.
Yeah.
But well, rather than abrupt, it was just a quick ending. It weren't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It's been a while since I've seen that, but yeah, what a great story.
Yeah, no, fantastic. It's not just the fact that it's abrupt though. I mean, for me, it's when I mean it's abrupt. It's the fact that they don't know how to deal with the Nestine, and then all of a sudden the Doctor just goes, "Aha, reverse the polarity," and then the Master's like, "Aha, I'm on your side. Let's do it." And I'm like, "There's a bit of a quick turnaround. You should have."
Yeah, but the Master carries on doing that for most of Doctor Who.
I know, but it's a bit quick, and they could have taken a bit more time. Just to me, they could have taken out some of the a scene earlier on, and just put a little bit more into convincing the Master. You know, just a little bit more of reasoning that out, and it's just a very shorthand. It's just an abrupt end, that's all. And I think that's where I am up with this. I wish, look, if we're going to talk about the problems of this episode, way too much use of CSO.
I'm just grateful that they called it the Terror of the Autons. They didn't stick with a working title because with you talking about Ann Summers earlier on, the spray of death. No, just no.
Yeah, I mean it's yeah. You got to think, man. You know the Autons can take over all sorts of living plastic. I mean it's. I'm just picturing some poor gimp being attacked like Lister in his underwear. But I mean, like overall though, it's a good episode of Doctor Who. It's a good story. It's a good episode. Um, most of it holds strong. Most of it holds together pretty reasonably well. Good introduction to Joe Grant. Um, and Mike Yates as well. Let's not forget that. Um, the sets look pretty good as well. I think for what they were. There are a couple of wobbly bits, in particular around the entrance into the doctor's room, office, whatever you want to call it. Around the door, there's a separation down one side, and every time they open and close the door, you can see the wall just go like that. You know, so it's a little bit noticeable. These little things, but there's a lot worse.
I'll tell you something I didn't notice.
Yes.
The fact that there was quite a few bits of that where the Brigadier wasn't played by Nicholas Courtney.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, people stunt doubling and.
Well, he had a sudden illness, or it's an attack of depression, so they rewrote his dialogue to reduce his involvement, and then so that's why he was seen mostly from behind or obscured by another character in those parts. I didn't even notice that at all while we was watching.
Again, very well directed. It's one of the things that you can take from this is the fact that I believe Barry Letts directed this. I can check, but I think it says directed Barry Letts, uncredited. So but yeah, look, there's lots of good directions and lots of good decisions made. Like again, the scene where Joe Grant is hypnotized is a good example. She is frozen, and the camera just pushes in on her whilst the doctor's trying to sort of get her out of it, and she's just it just intensifies the scene. It's really well done. It is very well done. So yeah, again, when things are done well, they done well, and that's the end of it. Really, you can't really say much more than that. When it's done badly, though, it shows. So it says here, in the original script, the Master's bomb went off when the Doctor tried to open the box by remote control. This was changed by Terence Dicks in order to give Joe a more prominent role. There we are. Spray of Death. This was the first of 3 John Pertwee serials, with Andrew Staines had small roles, in the others being Carnival of Monsters and Planet of Spiders. So yeah. So, Chris, now that you've seen it again, what do you think of Terror of the Autons?
Oh, I think it's superb, mate. You'd be hard pressed, even though they're ups and downs. Mm-hmm. Pretty much anything that's got Roger Delgado in it as the Master, I'm in. It's as simple as that. That is, when I've said to you I haven't seen a lot of Pertwee's run, I'm pretty sure I've seen most of the Master stories, and even if I haven't, the ones I have seen, I think they're great, and I think that Roger Delgado completely makes them.
To me, like, I put sort of, if I'm going to put the Master into an order of which actors I prefer, Delgado's going to be my number one. I probably might put Missy under Delgado as performance wise. And then
At least she was batshit crazy when she played the part. I don't know if I'd put her up as
I
level as
mean,
that,
that's just Michelle Gomez, for crying out loud. You see her in anything. Christ, I used to watch her in Green Wing, and she was that then. I mean, that's just her. That's just her. I'd hate to see that woman on cocaine. Bloody hell. Um, Honestly, that is. I mean, she just done Sabrina, the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, for 4 years, and she was exactly. I mean, I think they created the part for her because of Missy. Um, but she is. It's a totally different character, and I think with the Master, I like Delgado's approach of. Again, it's like an evil James Bond. I know they go sort of a Professor Moriarty type thing, and I think there's a literal interpretation by Delgado in that he is this really intelligent but really dangerous human being. Oh, in this case, the Time Lord. But yeah, he's proficient as well in killing. You know, he can kill people with his hands just as easily as he can with a weapon. He normally uses his weapon of choice because he doesn't like the. It's not that he won't get his hands dirty. He's just, yeah, I think he finds it less civilized. Um, and that's something that we miss with John Sim, for sure. Because his master, I never took to. I liked him, and I liked, but to me, John Sim was playing the Joker more than the Master.
Yeah, that's no argument for me from that.
It's just the fact that there's something very Gaussian, Frank Gaussian, Riddler-y performance about him, and maybe there's a part of direction there. I don't know. Whereby they got this sort of laughing man giggling all the time, and to me, like, that's nowhere near as effective as somebody like Roger Delgado, who's just literally just staring vacantly at people. You know, he's looking through people then. Um, and I think what the main thing that he brings to the Master is that he brings a Master that is on an intellectual level that exceeds the Doctor. You know, and they even mentioned in Terror of the Autons, where the Time Lord talks to John Pertwee and says, he scored higher than you on these things, didn't he? And I was like, okay.
I think that the sad thing in this episode now is this is the last time we see the Autons now until Rose, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I think that's it for the Autons. There's no fourth Doctor episode, is there? Oh.
No, I mean I do like the continuity thing, that this is set in the fictional town of Tarminster.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah Jane Smith visits a hospital in that town in the Mark of the Berserker, and it's also mentioned, you talking about the Master. It says it's also mentioned in the Harold Saxon promotional website, which states that Lucy Saxon's father was Lord Cole of Tarminster. So yeah, that ties in with the John Sim Master bit as well. So yeah, it is nice when they have them sort of knockbacks.
It is nice to get a bit of continuity in the show. So overall, I mean, it's pretty well put together. I make allowances for what they weren't able to do. So obviously the choice of how much CSO to use. I think there are times whereby they could have just used rear projection, and there were times whereby maybe they felt it looked better at the time.
It would have been better if they'd have locked it off and there wasn't so much moving around. I mean, that one of the early shots where the Master's at the top of the radio tower, they zoom in towards the Master, and literally the whole background zooms with him, and it's like, oh, that's almost unforgivable. There's so many ways they could have got around that. They could have even I mean, all right, it would have taken longer and cost a bit more. Maybe they could have even split screen that, so it didn't. So you didn't have to zoom both halves of the picture.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's people playing around with new toys again. This was. I mean, it's the way when they're making a TV series like this, it's hard to criticize them because first of all they haven't got the time, and second of all they haven't got the money.
No, they certainly haven't got the money.
So, and at this point in time, it hasn't even got credibility. Doctor Who at this point in time, literally, you know, I think Pertwee was struck because when Troughton decided to leave, he took a certain amount of the audience with him. So when Pertwee took over, he was fighting to kind of boost. It was a double-edged sword in a way because yeah, the BBC weren't really looking as to what was happening, but at the same time they were more concerned with the audience figures and not investing in something that they didn't have an audience with. So, for example, if the audience figures were, I think for this episode, I think this was one of the higher ones. This was building up to about 7.5 million.
I think it was actually more than that.
It could have been.
I did see. Episode 1 was 7.3.
Yeah.
Episode 2 was 8. Episode 3, 8.1.
Yeah.
Episode 4, 8.4.
Yeah. So yeah, but the starting one would have been 7.3, so under 7.5 million viewers. Before that, I mean, you're looking at a time period now whereby this winning, this is in Doctor Who's going into this for the viewing figures. It is starting its ascent. From because obviously the first season with Pertwee was a bit of a decline, and that's why, like I said, the BBC weren't looking at the show. They weren't looking at it and they weren't investing in it. And it is at this point as well whereby there's something like, I don't know, every single time Doctor Who's brought up at the BBC, this even right way up to the 80s, there's a point whereby the people behind the scenes aren't taking it seriously. And it still comes with stigma.
Yeah.
Which is, it's insane when you think about it, because very few shows have international export appeal. And to make a show like Doctor Who, and to give it, I mean, this show was all going on in PBS in America. You know, this was already out there. I mean, I think this was one of the first PBS shows broadcast in America. So there's this huge audience being gained by fans everywhere. I've actually got a picture of a friend of mine who worked on Star Trek: The Motion Picture, and they're working behind the scenes on the Vija model for Star Trek: The Motion Picture, and almost every person working on that is wearing a Doctor Who t-shirt, and it's, you know, that's how far it's transcended, is that people who are working on major motion pictures behind the scenes are wearing these Doctor Who shirts, and some of them are, and the Pertwee shirts as well. Pertwee and some of them are Tom Baker. But I mean, like, that's how far into the culture it had already gone. So even at this point in time, whereby the show is now on a bit of an ascent, it's picking up viewing figures, it's picking up an audience. The audience is coming back for it as a family. You'd think that the BBC would actually go, do you know what? It's time to this show has been around for, I mean, you're on the build up to the 10th anniversary. So you think this show's going to have a bit more of a reputation for, you know, delivering an audience. And so you'd think that the BBC would have a little bit more of respect for it. And it never happened. It never come about. And I don't understand it. I mean, like, you can't make the same sort of equivocation with, say, something like Star Trek: The Next Generation. Like, you know, people were always like, you know, would have a go at Star Trek fans, because it was like, aha, look at the geek, look at the nerd, look at the Star Trek fan, look at the Trekkie. Got to Star Trek: The Next Generation, that all stopped. That all went away because suddenly it was like, this is quality television, you know. And the similar sort of things happening in Doctor Who, but that stigma still sticks with the show, and I find that I'm going to say it sticks with the show. I mean, it sticks with the people behind the scenes more than anybody else. You know, there are people that are working on Doctor Who that are working on it, and still, even though they're working on it, they still find it to be kooky and silly and like, you know, I don't know. It's one of those things that stick. It's a sore point with me, because even like with 80s Who, okay, it went downhill during the 80s, but of course it's going to go downhill if the people that are working behind the scenes don't give a crap.
Yeah.
I mean, who's supposed to care about this? You know. But anyway, getting back to Terror of the Autons. Chris, I think it's a great first outing for Delgado.
Definitely.
It's a strong story. Obviously, they wanted to follow this up with. This is why we have to go. Next week we'll be doing Mind of Evil, because we got to follow it up with that, because obviously that's the second part of a master story. Do you think that they should do more like this, where have the recurring villain, or would you rather have them be more sparing with the villain?
I mean, I'd love to watch Roger Delgado act every week, but I don't know. Did they get the balance right with this? I mean, he was a good foil for the Doctor. I mean, was it every story he was in for this series?
No, but he's a recurring villain. It's like, because this Doctor never faced the Cybermen, right?
Yeah.
So they put this Doctor with it's a different type of story. It's more of an Earthbound Doctor, more of an Earthbound story. It's, as I understand it, he's in 37 episodes of Doctor Who. So he's in Mind of Evil, Terror of the Autons, Mind of Evil, Claws of Axos. So we got Mind of Evil, Claws of Axos. So he's in. He's in the next two.
Well, that's this whole series, then, isn't it?
Then Colony in Space. Yeah. Then Demons. Yeah. Sea Devils, Time Monster. Yeah, Frontier in Space. Yeah, it's pretty much, yeah. It's pretty much a whole seasonal run. So
yeah, I don't know, because it's one of the great matchups in British television, Pertwee's Doctor and versus Delgado's Master. So I'd probably want to see it more sparingly, but in hindsight, when they were making it, they didn't know that Roger Delgado was going to get killed in a car crash. So I am glad that they did use him as much as they did. So we've got all these stories with him.
yeah.
Whereas if they had have used him like one story a season or series, we'd have perhaps 4 Roger Delgado stories. Whereas we've got, like you say, he's in 37 episodes, which is about 10 serials.
Yeah. He has put down. Doesn't it make him weaker, losing every time? With the gap between stories, you forget a bit. I think it's always a problem with the villains, with every villain. That even the Daleks keep losing all the time. It's a point of contention with me with villains. I think if you want to do a good villain story, you've got to do one whereby the most you can do is escape. I think that if you're gonna do a villain story, yeah, the villains are always gonna lose in the end. But if you're gonna do a good villain story, you've got to at least let them get their winning. And I think with the Master, See, I think it doesn't necessarily undermine the Master, because at this point, like by the time he gets to Sea Devils, he's incarcerated, he's been captured. So he's plotting and scheming, but he's trapped on Earth. So he's got a limited amount of resources. So I think there are a couple of ways of playing it, and I'm not sure, because like again, when by the time you get to Sea Devils, he's captured. You know, his point in that story is to assist. It's to have the Doctor, you know, go there to question the Master. He's not there for plotting and planning and devious schemes. He does break free, obviously. But does it undermine him? Again, it depends on how you use him. It undermines the villains in that sense, but it undermines the heroes a lot more, I think. Because if there's only so many times, like it's like Batman and the Joker. Like, why hasn't Batman just killed him by now? Like, nobody, you couldn't say that he wasn't a threat. You couldn't possibly, you know, nobody could turn around and say, well, and let's say Batman doesn't kill the Joker. Why not the GCPD? Why wouldn't somebody just, like, I'm not arresting him, bang. You know, he's clearly a threat to society. He's a threat to everybody. He's killed thousands of people. You know, this guy is not, it's not a, you know, it doesn't do the heroes any good then. You can't turn around and say, oh, well, the hero took the moral high ground. Well, no, it's not the moral high ground if he's going to keep escaping and killing people. You know, it just makes your heroes look weaker. So, with...
yeah, I suppose so. But then, you know, it is a case of Batman without the Joker. It is Sherlock Holmes without Moriarty. It is John Pertwee without Roger Delgado. You know, you can... You know, realistically, in real world terms, yes, Batman should absolutely kill the Joker and be done
It's not
with
just...
it.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's not just Batman. There are other... Like, here's the thing. In this, it works because the Brigadier is trying to kill him. The Brigadier even says to the Doctor, you know, you'll find out after the remains. He goes, oh, what do you mean? He's like, I'm about to blow the shit out of him. Like, we're literally... We've got a plane flying over now that's about to drop a bomb straight on him, you know. Are we going to annihilate him? So that helps. But in terms of the heroes then, every time the hero tries to take the moral high ground to put somebody in cuffs to take him away, when it's somebody of such a high level of danger, it's like that. This is clearly the wrong move. Like, unless this person is going to be tried for execution, this unless you do that story, unless you tackle that story in particular, to say, right then, let's do this story whereby it's the trial of this individual to see what the outcome is going to be. And if it's going to be incarceration for life, then we need to make sure that this person's put, you know, like they did with the Master. They put him on that sea fort and he was locked in that place, isolated. He couldn't get out. If he did get out, he was in the middle of the North Sea. You know, there are certain things you've got to put in place, otherwise you make your heroes... It doesn't undermine your villains, it undermines your heroes. And that's the big one. That's the big one in all these story writing. I mean, it happens a lot in movies. A lot of movies whereby... I can't remember what I was watching. I watched something recently. And it just pissed me off because they'd done something and it's just like... You should be dead. You just should be dead. Just... You would never put up with that. And when...
Oh, you're bloodthirsty at heart, you, ain't you, eh?
It's not...
Kill him! It's a witch! Burn him!
No, but it doesn't do you... Like, you can't... There's only so many ways that you can have your villain escape. Or have your villain survive before it does no favours for your hero. I mean, usually that's why at the end of, say, like a Lethal Weapon or something like that, usually the villain will do something and end up getting gunned down or something like that. It's because you can't... Somebody else will do it off camera and, you know, your hero will survive, but somebody else has shot the villain, because then your hero's still got the high ground, the moral value, and the villain has been taken care of.
So reading between the lines, you're saying that Roger Delgado's car crash was pretty bloody good then?
No, no, not at all. But it's just the fact that when they write in a villain, um, you have to be clever about it. You can't.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand what you're saying, but I also know in terms of television and future stories why they do it the way they do it. I mean, you're absolutely right in what you're saying,
You
but
right.
it's
So here's the thing, right? When they done, I think it was, I want to say Daredevil season 2. When they done Daredevil season 2, the Kingpin was still pulling the strings from inside prison. He was still controlling things from inside the prison. They just couldn't prove it, and that's what held that character strong. Was that this person was, as far as they were concerned, bound, gagged, tied up, pinned down, put in isolation, and he was still doing what he was doing. They just had no proof that. So it made that character look stronger and look more intelligent and more fearsome, because even with all the restrictions put on him, he was still in control. And it just helped that character so much more. It doesn't help your character if you have no. If all you're doing is just using them to be like twiddling the moustache and being the villain. With Delgado can get away with a lot of his mastery stuff because of the way he carries it. But again, it doesn't work then when it gets to Anthony Ainley. By the time it gets to Anthony Ainley, it's just ridiculous. It's just like this descends into madness. So, and it's the same with a lot of villains. Like one of my favorite ones. By the way, like one of my favorite ones is actually coming out very very soon. Warner Brothers has just released the trailer for Long Halloween Part 1 and 2. So I'm looking forward to that. So because Calendar Man is going to be making an appearance, and I'm really looking forward to that. That's going to be a good, fun villain story for the Long Halloween. And that's a clever way of writing it. But like they've done it before, as I think I made mention of this before. One of the things that knocked me off The Flash. I used to enjoy watching the Flash TV show, and they used to have these seasonal long villains all the time. You'd start the episode, and episode 1 it'd be like, oh, Reverse Flash has shown up, and he doesn't defeat him until episode 26. And it's like, Jesus, how bad are you as a superhero? It takes 26 episodes for you to beat this guy. And the worst one was, I guess, to about season 5, and they bring in the Thinker. Now, the Thinker is supposed to be this super intelligent, super smart individual, right? And again, he's the seasonal bad guy. Well, 8 episodes in, he's done some really bad stuff. People have died and all this stuff, and the Flash shows up, and he knows he's the Thinker. He knows the guy he's standing right in front of him in the middle of an empty auditorium is the Thinker. And they even have this conversation, right? So, they have this whole thing about moral values and ethics and all this stuff. And the Thinker says, aha, you see, I'm intelligent. I know why it is that you won't take me in. And that's because you have no proof that I'm the Thinker. And therefore, if you were to take me in, you would lose the moral high ground. You would lose all this, and you'd lose respect and all this stuff. And then Barry just leaves. He just leaves. Just leaves the scene. Just flash straight out the door. And I'm thinking to myself, how bad is this writing now? That this, like, he knows he's the villain. The villain has just talked to him as the villain. Even though he doesn't have proof, he's just confessed to Barry that he's the villain. Run him to the bloody Arctic and leave him there. Like, I don't, like, how does this help your hero? In what way is your hero stronger by having him have this one-to-one? Like, I know what they were going for. We've all seen it. It's done 100 times. Where, Superman's confronted Lex, or Bond's confronted Scaramanga. They've had this face-to-face. You always get your hero and villain together. I get that. but it does no absolute good when there's no holdover. It's not like the Thinker had a bomb that he was going to set off if Barry tried to take him in. It's not like he was on a dead man switch or something like that. He was just talking to him by a blackboard. And I'm like, crying out loud, Barry. Like, you don't even have to take him in. Just mess him up a little. Break his kneecaps. Take away his elbows. Like, what's anybody going to say? He's going to deny you were there because you apparently that's how this works now. So just say you fell over. You know, he's broken every bone in his body. Oh, well, tough. You know, I mean, I get that they want to do these like moral high ground. What moral high ground is they're letting a villain go around killing people? I don't get that. I don't understand it. So yeah, and it's just part of a writing trope that really just bugs the piss out of me. So
really, I didn't know this.
But that's what it is.
When it comes to DC stuff, I only watch the animated stuff because.
Yeah, well, that's it. The long Halloween's animated movie.
Yeah.
And it should be great because Jensen Ackles is playing Batman. So.
Should be Kevin Conroy, but yeah. Well, I'll.
I know, like I won't turn down Ackles because he's such a fanboy himself.
It is, but there's two Batmen for me, and that's Adam West and Kevin Conroy.
Yeah.
I don't need any of the others.
Do you want to know something interesting about Kevin Conroy? So
go on.
So Kevin Conroy used to be roommates with Robin Williams.
All right.
Robin Williams and Kevin Conroy used to be roommates with Christopher Reeve. So you had the best Superman and the best Batman, both friends with Robin Williams.
Who played Mork?
Yeah. But that's odd. You got Robin Williams and he's literally best friends with Superman and Batman. Of all the things to happen, like I can understand them sort of like knowing each other, but like to actually be roommates with them, that's one hell of a coincidence.
Yeah, isn't it?
So yeah. So next week we are going to be doing Mind of Evil. I'm looking forward to that as well. And I think this week we need to look at Terror of the Autons and we need to give it a grade. I like this story. I like the characters. I think the supporting cast does a great job. And the supporting characters, considering that these are unknown characters that they come into, and they pick it up and they hit the ground running. I think they do a magnificent job. The Autons, I think, are good. Even though I think that they could do more with them, a lot more. I think the purpose that they serve in this is that handled very well. I think we get some great direction in this. Obviously, visual effects, we've already talked about that plenty. Musical score, I am never gonna like in a million years. So I'm gonna take like I think I'm gonna if we give it a perfect 10, and then I take a point off for the VFX, the arbitrary use of CSO, and the musical score. I'm looking at about a 7.5, 7.6. That's my score, I think.
I'm going for 8 because the music didn't bother me. That's the kind of music I expect from 70s Doctor Who. So it's just there. You know, when comparing it to, especially having messed about with editing the video, comparing the music that we had in Ambassadors of Death, I thought that music was fine. Like you say, weird jolly harpsichord did not fit.
No.
Weird synthy music, however basic, it did kind of go with the scenes it was put against. It wasn't the best, but it didn't detract from the scene. Whereas in the Ambassadors of Death, especially that bit I edited where the lorry's coming down, it's got that weird bit of music. I expected Morris dancers and people to be cartwheeling next to the lorry with that music. So I'm going to give it an 8 because I'm not going to take a half a point off for the music. I'm gonna add a half point on to what you had. So yeah, 8.
Yeah, Ian's put down he took 2.5 off for the CSO kitchen. I mean, that's an incredible thing. It's not just the kitchen though. There's the whole scene where Delgado is standing there over the Autons, and they've done a CSO lab behind him, and it's not even from the
Yeah, I
same
don't understand.
it's not even from the same angle. Um,
I mean, Christ, for that they could have used the sets from the previous episode,
yeah,
couldn't they? I know this was the first of a new series, but did they destroy everything from the previous episodes?
I know, and the thing is like, even if they just walked into an empty studio with just black curtains up, and just had direct down spotlights on tables. You don't have to have, because they've done it before whereby, I mean, you've seen it at the start of this episode where it was on about how good some of the sets were
Yeah.
some of the props and all that, with the electronic equipment that they had. That was all free floating, freestanding stuff. So they could all obviously have taken that off, unbolted it, wheeled it across to another part of the studio, just set it up against a flat. And all you need to do then is just light blacks, black cloth, all around, and just spotlight it on the table, and suddenly you can't tell what's out of shot. You can't see it. Do you know what I mean? So that would have worked, I think, far better than what they did, because again the CSO is just, when they get it right, it looks okay. Like when they were using it for the doll on the back seat of the car. It looked great. It looked absolutely, because there's no real other way of doing that, and making it look that good.
Yeah, some of the backgrounds, like I was saying while we was watching it, the fact they didn't lock the shots off, and the backgrounds are moving and zooming with the camera. That's cool.
Well, again, what's amazing is the fact that, like Ian said about the CSO kitchen, they'd already had the lounge set, right? So all they had to do was redress the lounge set, just like move some of the cabinets out the way, and then
There's only one shot. They could have just pissed off round to someone's house,
yeah.
stand by the sink for a minute, roll it, and then job done.
But I mean, but they didn't even have to do that though. I mean, all they literally had to do was move around the set that was already there, because you can't see all around the set. So they were only shooting in like 3 camera shots. So it's like what, A, B, and wide. Like that's pretty much the only shots that you had. So for them to do a reverse shot, all they had to do was redress the set, and suddenly this lounge that you were just looking at, take the pictures down, take all the things, suddenly becomes a whole new room. It's that simple. It's so easy, because you were in charge of the camera. You're in charge of what people see and how people can see it. How so you can relight stuff. You can light stuff with like they used to do in Star Trek. They had one corridor set in Star Trek, but they used to do A deck, B deck, and C deck by lighting one red, one green, one purple. It's the same corridor. They change a label on the door. Change a plant on the wall. It was that easy. And it's Star Trek: The Next Generation only had one set of crew quarters. I think they had 2. I think they had Data's and Picard's. And Picard's quarters were everybody's quarters. They just redressed it. So there are ways, means, and methods that they didn't have to do CSO. And that's what I'm getting at there. So yeah, there's a point off for the excessive amount of that. And a couple of bad shots as well, so there's another point off of that. Yeah, I'm taking half a point off as well for the music. 7.5, and Ian's put 7.5 as well. I can stand by that. It's a good episode of Doctor Who.
Yeah, I'm not taking anything off for the music, so I'm gonna go for 8 for that.
Yeah, that's fine. You're wrong, but it's fine.
Well, most of mine, most of my points off are for literally the CSO stuff, because some of it was so bad.
Yeah.
And I like the kitchen, like Ian's pointed out, the kitchen was shocking. You know, it really was shocking. You know, sometimes it's nice to see things where you think, is it? But that was like, oh, that is definitely. There's no other way around it. You know, it's pretty poor.
Yeah, but hopefully this has been a bit of fun for everyone, and we're gonna do my review next week. Hopefully we'll start at the right time next week. We've been delayed due to minor problems, which is something that we're still working out. But it's not. It's just minor technical issues.
It's not so much problems as knowing which buttons to press, really.
Well, I mean, we started late this evening because I was setting up Skype and I had set up the wrong one, and I didn't realize there were different versions of Skype. And why Skype would have more than one version, I don't know, but it does. And yeah, that
yeah, Skype also defaults your camera and your mic, and I'm using the OBS camera.
Yep.
And it had set it back to my normal camera. So when I went to OBS, I'm like, I've got nothing there. So
yeah, but these are bugs that I'm making notes on. So hopefully next week we'll have a much smoother start, and hopefully start on time next week, 8 o'clock, which is going to be fun. I think. Mind you, evil. Looking forward to it. So
are you going to play us out with a TARDIS?
We can do that, yeah, we can.
Oh yes, we have the power.
We do, yeah. So take care and see you next week.